Good evening. Corruption in the state. President Maithripala Sirisena, while reiterating action, says that corrupt politicians are the obstacle against developing the country. Calling for special courts. The JVP voices the need for a special court to punish the perpetrators of the bond issue, while Prime Minister promises to set up new courts from March onwards. Banned from entering. Motor vehicles below the Euro 4 submission standards and without seat belts, airbags and anti-locking brakes will be prohibited effective July 1st this year. And in sports, yet another defeat. Sri Lanka loses to Bangladesh, the second loss in the Tri-Nation Series. And in international headlines, baby on the way. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern reveals she is pregnant. Thank you for joining us, everyone, on this Friday, the 19th of January 2018. I'm Mahesh Johnny. Let's begin with our lead story tonight. Nepal's Chief of Army Staff General Rajendra Chhetri, who is on a goodwill visit to Sri Lanka, called on President Maithripala Sirisena at the President's official residence in Colombo.
During this meeting, views were exchanged on reinforcement of cooperation between the two armies for the task of nation building, methods of quick response during natural calamities, and relations between the two countries in military training. The Chief of Nepali Army Staff thanked the President for generous support received from Sri Lanka when Nepal faced natural disasters. President Sirisena mentioned the importance of increasing exchange of technical knowledge and training facilities between Sri Lanka and Nepal armies. In the meanwhile, Chief of the Army Staff of Nepal, General Rajendra Chhetri, called on the Chief of Sri Lanka Air Force Air Marshal Kapila Jayampati at the Sri Lanka Air Force headquarters yesterday.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says the Bogambara prison premises will be restructured to set up a cultural and touristic centre. The Premier made the remark while engaging in a visit to the Bogambara prison complex.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and several other ministers paid a visit to observe the first step of the plan to develop the land of Bogambara prison yesterday.
The Bogambara prison is removed now. We are going to open a cultural and a touristic centre here. Under the programme, we are planning to make Kandy a hub of tourism. We are doing this with the permission of the chief prelates of the Asgiri and Malwatu chapters.
In the meantime, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe paid a visit to the tyre factory complex under construction in an industrial zone in Bagawatha Horana recently.
We are going to generate new jobs and foreign exchange through these industries. This is going to be the largest tyre factory in the country and will start operations by 2020. We are going to establish new economic zones. We first found money to pay for roads, electricity and other infrastructure, and now we are setting up factories. With the increasing pace of investment in the country, these areas will be transformed. We need to build a strong economy and we have a huge struggle ahead of us to achieve that. We will not be deterred until a better future is created for the country. Ministry of Finance says the importation of motor vehicles below the Euro 4 emission standards or its equivalent and without seat belts, airbags and anti-locking brakes will be prohibited effective July 1st this year. Issuing a communiqué, the Ministry of Finance said that vehicles which do not carry airbags for drivers and front seat passenger, anti-locking braking system and 3-point seat belts for drivers and passengers travelling in the front and rear seat except the middle seat will not be allowed to be imported into the country. Vehicle dealers, importers and manufacturers are strictly advised to refrain from establishing any letter of credit for imports of motor vehicles that do not comply with specific standards and safety regulations estimated to arrive after the 1st of July. Let's get to the latest on the election now. The Supreme Court today rejected the petition filed by Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna over the rejection of their party nomination papers for the Municipal Council of Maharagama. The petition was taken up before a three-member panel of judges today, chaired by Chief Justice Priyasad Depp.
The petition had been filed by 6 candidates contesting from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna for the Maharagama Municipal Council. Petitioners stated that the returning officer had rejected the nomination paper of Inuka Ranavira as she was referred as a male candidate in the nomination list. Other Derana court correspondent stated that petitioners requested a court order be granted to the returning officer to accept the rejected nomination paper as well as an order citing that the rejection was unlawful. However, the three-member bench chaired by Chief Justice Priyasad Depp and comprising Buwanika Alubihare and Nalin Pereira unanimously decided that the case is not suitable to be heard.
This shows that candidates, voters or parties do not have the opportunity to correct a mistake made by a returning officer. We hope to make a decision in this regard after discussions with candidates and political parties.
Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal today decided to consider 14 petitions filed by a number of political parties on the 24th this month regarding the rejection of nomination papers of 14 local government bodies, including the petition filed by Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna over the petition of the nomination paper in Maharagama Municipal Council.
Addressing the Sri Lanka Freedom Party main campaign rally for the day, President Maithripala Sirisena emphasised that corrupt politicians have become the obstacle for development of the country. Also commenting on the recent findings of the Commission of Inquiry on bond issuance, the President said such fraudulent activities committed from the year 2008 will also be investigated.
The Sri Lanka Freedom Party organised a rally in Vellavaya today ahead of local government election. Many politicians representing the party, including General Secretary of UPFA Mahinda Amaravira and Chief Minister of Uva Province Chamara Sampath Dasanayaka, participated in the rally.
They held the presidential election in 2015 because they wanted to make Basil Rajapaksa the Prime Minister. Nima Siripala De Silva and President Maithripala Sirisena were next in line.
Chairman of the SLFP, President Maithripala Sirisena, was warmly welcomed by supporters upon his arrival to the rally.
Those who have formed a new party under the leadership of GL Pires while being in our party says that people of the country made a mistake on 8th of January in 2015. They are asking people to vote for the party of GL Pires in order to rectify that mistake. I respect GL Pires as a professor and a person who knows the law. But he is a person who knows nothing of the SLFP, and they are saying that he understands the vision of the party. Those who didn't want the late Bandaranaike's name in any party documents now say they are following the principles. Just like Bandaranaike's tenure in 1950s, we had so many protests and strikes during the past 3 years. University students took to the streets due to the Saitam issue. We as the government solved it. Then there was no opportunity to speak freely during the cabinet meetings. We only had to say yes or no to the government agenda and the meeting ends soon. It isn't just people from the current government who are involved in the bond issue. The Supreme Court justices who inquired the issuance said such occurrences were seen since 2008. This country hasn't reached its potential despite having necessary intellectuals, professionals and even natural resources only because of corrupt politicians. They are the only obstacle. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe requests the public to give United National Party the power of all the local government bodies during the upcoming election. Speaking at UNP's campaign rally organised in Alpitia, Premier also talked about establishing special courts which will expedite legal procedures.
Focusing on the upcoming local government election, the UNP organised its main campaign rally for the day in Alpitia today. It was held on the party theme, Government that Develops the Village. Leader of the party, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, was warmly welcomed by supporters gathered at the rally.
If we take a look at the Blue Party, part of it is trying to hold on to their power while the other part is trying to obtain power through this election. But it is only the UNP under the leadership of our Prime Minister that is trying to bring the government's power to the village. The biggest fraudsters are calling the Prime Minister a thief. The report by the Commission of Inquiry states that bigger fraudulent activities related to bond issuance took place during the period from 2008 to 2014, causing losses of 4,000 billion rupees. If the Prime Minister really did steal, would he then appoint a JVP member to the COPE? We have two clean leaders who will take this country forward. When legal cases are transferred to high courts from magistrates' courts, they get postponed by 3 months or sometimes by an year. It takes at least 5 years for a court case to be finalized. We discussed with the new Justice Minister Thalitha Attukorala about this, and we introduced a new law which allows the Attorney General to directly file a case with the High Court after a police report is obtained. The case will be then heard by a 3-member judge panel. These justices must hear cases every day, helping to finalize them within 6 months. We ask them to be unbiased when filing such legal cases, or we can inquire about issues through a commission set up just like with the bond issue. I would also like to reveal that the second report by the Presidential Commission of Inquiry to investigate and inquire into serious acts of fraud, corruption as abuse of power, state resources and privileges will be presented next week. This report will lead to 34 legal cases. We will establish several of these new courts from March onwards. More on the election, the JVP alleges that the President and the Prime Minister are staging a dispute between themselves in order to obtain more votes for the two parties in the unity government. The JVP also calls for immediate action on the report of the Commission of Inquiry through hearing at a special court.
The JVP organised another campaign rally focusing on the upcoming local government election in Piliyandala yesterday.
The people of Kasbaba may cast their votes for the UNP, assuming that the votes are for one of their own in the village. What will Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe say then? He'll say that although there were so many allegations leveled against them regarding the bond issue, people have still accepted the party and not held them responsible. There are two groups to the government, one being the President's party and the other being the Prime Minister's party. They are portraying that there is a dispute between the two of them by fighting among themselves and by storming out of the Cabinet Ministers' meeting. They've agreed to do this together, so don't be misled.
Meanwhile, parliamentarian Sunil Handunethi insisted during a media briefing today that those responsible for the misappropriated central bank bond issuances should be punished through a special court.
President said that he will leave his position once all the fraudsters and corrupt politicians are brought before justice, which means he doesn't have an idea of leaving at all. He has all the power to punish these fraudsters now, but claims that he has begun Operation 2 to punish wrongdoers. So what was he doing during Operation 1? He doesn't need a sword to punish anyone because he has the report by the Commission of Inquiry. Later, Prime Minister also made a statement. He says that he appointed a special committee headed by Minister Tilak Marapana to inquire whether anyone from the UNP is responsible for this. This is a joke. Tilak Marapana is the person who left his earlier position after he was found guilty in the avant-garde issue. Prime Minister then also said that he have acquired 12 billion rupees of perpetual treasuries through which the government will be able to recover the loss of 9.2 billion incurred to the state. Wouldn't that be a great example for all other fraudsters? What will happen if every thief started to keep a bit of their money somewhere before they began stealing? Parliament sent the COPE report to the Attorney General on the 31st of October 2016. It has been more than a year now and the Attorney General hadn't taken any action. So do you think that he will take action now on this report? That is why we are saying that we must establish a special court through which this matter has to be taken up. If this had happened in another country, politicians would have already resigned from their posts. All different views were expressed by politicians of both the governing party as well as the opposition on the current political issues. Nominations for the next presidential election should be called in October 2019. You should clearly remember that a Rajapaksa will come to power again at the end of 2019. If Gotabaya can come to power, Arjuna Mahendran can come to power too. Why? Because Arjuna Mahendran is a citizen of Singapore and Gotabaya is a citizen of America. They are not patriotic. If so, even Obama can come and contest.
Many are now speaking about corruption, especially those committed by the central government. But I will not hesitate to punish whoever commits such fraud within the Colombo Municipal Council.
The central bank bond scam took place under the government of Maitri, who spoke against corruption and fraud. When investigating this issue, the UNP ends up being hurt. So what is there to be done? We asked to present the report of the Bond Commission to Parliament with the 34 other reports. We like to remind that whoever committed the wrong will be imprisoned. They lied for 3 years, unable to cover up their theft. Minister Sujiva wants to point the finger at Namal Rajapaksa always. Former Finance Minister Ravi Karunanika says that members of the United National Party have been exonerated through the findings of the bond inquiry. The minister made these comments to the media after his audience with the Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Cardinal Malcolm Ranjith.
All members of the United National Party vying for the upcoming local government elections met with the Archbishop of Colombo to receive his blessings. The former finance minister was also present at the event.
The Prime Minister said that the report has cleared the names of the members of the UNP. His statement clearly says that it is wrong if they use the power of the UNP in order to allow the Rajapaksas to rule. It is wrong if people who worked against President Sirisena is now trying to show that they are the ones responsible for the achievements. We appreciate people like Duminda Dissanayake, who was against it from the beginning. We even protect him now. Some are uneasy about the ongoing UNP work at grassroots level and are therefore making statements to tarnish the party's image. That will not deter the UNP. Let's move on to other local stories we have for you tonight. The principal of Tamil Girls Mahavidyalayam in Badulla today admitted she was ordered to kneel down before the Uva Province Chief Minister at his official residence recently. She told media that she was unable to reveal the incident due to threats by the Chief Minister and Secretary of the Uva Provincial Education Department.
On the 9th of January, Uva Provincial Councillor Samath Vidyaratna revealed that the Chief Minister of Uva Province, Chamara Sampath Dasanayake, ordered the principal of Tamil Girls Mahavidyalayam in Badulla to kneel before him after she did not accept a student admission recommended by the Chief Minister. However, the Chief Minister denied such allegations on the 12th of this month when the topic came up for discussion at a meeting of the Uva Provincial Council. On the same day, responding to media, the principal in question said she did not undergo such a treatment. However, when UMP MP Vadivel Suresh paid a visit to the principal at the school today, she had revealed that the incident in fact occurred. Convening a media briefing today, UMP MP Chamara Vijayasiri said that investigations will be conducted to remove the Chief Minister Chamara Sampath from his post.
Now here's a look at other stories making news across Sri Lanka.
The monastery of the Pulpiti Mukalana Kospalna Sri Vajra Vansharama was declared open by Most Venerable Mahanayaka Thera of the Amarapura sector Kotugoda Dhammavasa Thera. Hambantota port workers who were engaged in a fast unto death campaign for 11 days called off the protest this morning. Protesters said they received a favourable response from the Sri Lanka Ports Authority to their demands. A group of locals in Dehiyattakandiya decided to refrain from voting at the upcoming local government election. They claimed that authorities failed to pay heed to their request to rehabilitate the Dehiyattakandiya Bamaravana main road for 33 years. A 4-year-old girl was stabbed to death in Jaffna today following a heated argument between her uncle and grandmother. According to Jaffna police, the victim had reportedly intervened when the argument escalated inside the house. The 33-year-old suspect, the victim's uncle, committed suicide upon the child's death, while his mother was admitted to Jaffna Base Hospital with severe injuries.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
On to business news now. The World Economic Forum and Sri Lanka have agreed to explore the possibility of hosting an investment roundtable in Sri Lanka and collaborating in areas focusing on sustainable production in apparel and textiles, as well as upgrading tourism, ICT and agriculture sectors. The proposals were put forward during a two-day visit of Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade, Malik Samaravikrama, to Geneva recently, where he met with the President of the World Economic Forum, Borge Brende. The visit comes ahead of the 2018 Davos Summit organized by the World Economic Forum, which is to take place between January 23rd and 27th.
During the meeting with Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade, Malik Samaravikrama, the World Economic Forum President Borge Brende assured to work closely with the Sri Lankan government. It was also agreed to explore avenues to establish investment partnership under the Sustainable Development Investment Partnership Initiative, particularly in the area of transportation and connectivity. According to a communique from the Permanent Mission of Sri Lanka to the UN, Minister Samaravikrama had also engaged in a meeting with representatives of the Global Alliance Trade Facilitation, following which an agreement was reached to cooperate in the implementation of a multi-country consolidation hub in Sri Lanka to support Sri Lanka's potential to become a trade hub in the Indian Ocean.
Minister of Education Akhila Viraj Kariwasam says that school education coupled with skills training has been identified as one of the key development areas in the country for economic and social advancement. He made this remark at an event held in Colombo today.
Minister of Education Akhila Viraj Kariwasam participated at the opening ceremony of VEDEX Expo 2018, which was held under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe today. The Education and Career Exhibition, organised by the Royal College Union, will be held until Sunday.
Government of Sri Lanka has identified education and skill training sector as one of the key development areas for the economic and social growth. What is important to keep in our mind as educational and skill training providers that we will have to instill in children to develop good working habits, desire and flexibility constantly to learn new things. These things will redefine the meaning of the word job in the future.
Let's take you to the stock market now. Colombo Bourse concluded activities in an optimistic note today, with the ASPI increasing 33.39 to close at 6,443.50, while the S&P SL 20 advanced 25.85 points to end trading at 3,735.48. Market turnover reached 1.7 billion rupees, with foreign investors ending as net sellers of 62 million rupees. Now let's cross over to Sri Mevan Karunathilaka from NDB Securities for a detailed report.
During the week, ASPI lost 0.5%, mainly due to price losses in counters such as John Kearns Holdings, Asian Hotels and Properties, and Mesta Corp. Meanwhile, S&P SL 20 decreased by 0.8% for the week. The average daily turnover for the week was up from last week to 1.1 billion rupees. Banks, finance and insurance sector recorded the highest sector turnover during the week. Foreigners remained active during the week, where foreign purchases accounted for 53% of the total weekly turnover. A net foreign inflow of nearly 344 million rupees was recorded for the week. This resulted in the year-to-date net foreign inflow to increase to 2.7 billion rupees. Out of the weekly turnover, block trades accounted nearly 61%, which was slightly higher than last week.
On to international news now and straight to the United States. As part of its first step to avert government shutdown, the House of Representatives has passed a bill to fund government operations until the 16th of February. A vote is now expected in the Senate at some point in the next 24 hours, but it is unclear exactly when it will take place. As the Republicans do not have enough votes, backing from at least some Democrats is needed to pass the bill ahead of the Friday night midnight vote. Republican leaders also face resistance from their rank-and-file conservatives who are demanding more military spending, among other things. The last U.S. shutdown happened in 2013 and lasted for 16 days. The U.S. government is already operating on its third temporary funding extension since this fiscal year began last October. Well, the New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has announced today that she is pregnant. Ardern, who is 37 years old, is now said to be the second elected world leader to give birth while in office and the first to do so in almost 30 years. Ardern said that she and her partner Clark Gayford were expecting their child in June, after which she planned to take a 6-week break. She discovered her pregnancy only 6 days before learning she would be Prime Minister, and it was, according to her, 100% a surprise. Two of New Zealand's former Prime Ministers were among the first to offer congratulations. On her first day as opposition leader, Ardern was controversially asked by a TV talk show host whether she had made a choice between having babies and having a career. Ardern replied that such a question was totally unacceptable back in 2017.
People to look upon my time in leadership and think, yes, I can do the job and be a mother.
Well, let's now take a look at some other stories making news across the world.
Passengers say a Malaysian Airlines flight was forced to divert to Central Australia after a technical issue left the aircraft shuddering. Flight MH122 was travelling from Sydney to Kuala Lumpur yesterday when it turned back not far from Broome in Australia's northwest. The plane carrying 224 people landed safely at Alice Springs Airport at 5:48 local time. The US State Department said yesterday the United States will not provide $45 million in food aid for Palestinians that it pledged last month as part of the West Bank Gaza emergency appeal led by the UN Relief and Work Agency. The decisions to curb funding are likely to compound the difficulty of reviving Israeli-Palestinian peace talks. An oil spill from an Iranian oil tanker that sank in the East China Sea is now the size of Paris. According to figures released on Wednesday by the Chinese State Oceanic Administration, the slick covers an area of 101 square kilometers after almost doubling in size from the start of the week. Scientists have taken a step towards one of the biggest goals in medicine, a universal blood test for cancer. A team at Johns Hopkins University has trialed a method that detects 8 common forms of the disease. Their vision is an annual test designed to catch cancer early and save lives. UK experts said it was enormously exciting. However, one said more work was needed to assess the test's effectiveness at detecting early-stage cancers.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
Well, nothing good to report tonight for cricket fans in Sri Lanka as the Lankans faced yet another defeat against Bangladesh at their first encounter of the Tri-Nation Series in Dhaka. 4 senior-most cricketers of Bangladesh came to the fore to post a 163-run win with their biggest in one-day international. Now, Sri Lanka have now lost 2 matches and will be eliminated unless they win both remaining matches.
Being invited to field, Sri Lankan bowlers failed to get quick wickets, paving way to many stellar performances by Bangladeshis. Bangladesh kept the scoreboard ticking with Tamim Iqbal's 84 of 102 balls, Shakib Al Hassan's aggressive 67 of 63 and Mushfiqur Rahim's 62 of 52 being the key performances. With a loss of 7 wickets, Bangladesh scored a competitive 320. Sri Lanka in response never looked threatening to their opponents as they lost wickets in regular intervals. Kusal Perera failed to back up his brilliant knock of 80 against Zimbabwe and lost his wicket in the third over. Taranga soon followed as he was caught by Muhammadullah when the total was 43. Chandimal looked promising with big shots but was soon caught short. Al Hassan's spinning resulted in many of the Lankans' departure as he finished with picking up 3 for 47. No Sri Lankan batsman was able to pull through as they were dismissed for a paltry total of 157.
6 series out of the 7 series they've played in Bangladesh.
Well, Pakistan will play against arch rivals and also the defending champions, India, at the finale of the Blind Cricket World Cup, scheduled to be held on the 20th of January in Sharjah. Pakistan qualified for the final of the tournament after defeating Sri Lanka, while India beat Bangladesh to set up a title clash with Pakistan.
Batting first, Pakistan scored a massive total of 489. The Lankans, however, failed to chase the target and could only score 333 for the loss of 7 wickets in the allotted 40 overs. Winning by 156 runs against Sri Lanka in the semi-final of the tournament, Pakistan booked a spot in the finals. India won against Bangladesh by 7 wickets also on Wednesday to set up a title clash with arch rivals Pakistan. Pakistan will face India in the final of the tournament, which will be played on January 20th in Sharjah.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Your temperatures for tomorrow are to vary between 16 and 29 degrees Celsius, with the lowest temperatures yet again being expected in the central hills. Well, looking at the map, we can expect some clear skies over most parts of the island. The sun will be very welcoming in many parts of the island, including Jaffna, Anuradhapura and Mena. Well, Matara, Hambantota and Batiklo in particular will experience some showers. That's all we have from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your City by City forecast.
Well, as you know, on Fridays, we like to end our program by bringing in a positive story in order to uplift your mood. Time for the good story of the week, and this week it's about a pig. In the summer of 2012, Steve Jenkins and Derek was contacted by an old friend about adopting a micro piglet. It turned out there was nothing micro about Esther, and Steve and Derek had actually signed on to raise a full-size commercial pig.
Within 3 years, tiny Esther grew to a whopping 600 pounds, which propelled them to buy a 50-acre farm from donations received through crowdfunding from 9,000 people in 44 countries. The farm, now known as the Happily Ever Esther Farm Sanctuary, has become a haven for other animals in need, all thanks to Esther the pig. She currently has a large following on social media sites which promote and celebrate veganism.
I'm Mahesh Johnny. Enjoy the weekend. Good night.